Okay, let's get to work. We move on to Washington against the Browns. Washington Football Club against the Browns. Browns open up -6.5. That number's long gone. There are 7s and 7.5s. This total opened up at 44.5, and now we see a 44. Redskins were beat up by the Cardinals. Shout out to our big Ragu on Sunday who gave us his best bet as the Arizona Cardinals. Redskins were down 20-0 at the half, lose 30-15. Arizona outgained Washington 244-96 in the first half. Washington didn't score a touchdown until 12:20 left in the fourth quarter. Haskins, 19 of 33 for 223 yards. Antonio Gibson ran 13 times for 55 yards. J.D. McIsaac, 8 times for 53 yards. And they're a pretty healthy group. Cornerback Kendall Fuller and linebacker Cole Holcomb are questionable. Now we get to the Browns. Mayfield threw 2 touchdown passes. Chubb ran for 2 scores. 124 yards. It gets Stefanski the first win on Thursday night in a 35-30 victory over the Bengals. They've had extra time to prepare for this spot. Mayfield, 16 of 23, 219 yards, 1 pick. Spread the ball to 8 different receivers, and they picked up 215 yards rushing. It was the Chubb and Kareem Hunt show all day. Defensive ends, Claiborne and Olivier Vernon are banged up and questionable. Greedy Williams, Kevin Johnson are hurt. Questionable. You also have linebackers Mac Wilson and Jacob Phillips hurt and questionable. Washington Football Club, 7 or 7.5 point dogs to Cleveland in a low total here, Bebsy. What do you think?
Here's the thing. Washington struggled to contain Kyler Murray, which so did the San Francisco 49ers in week 1. I also think the NFL is doing what they've done with some other premier quarterbacks in that they throw a flag if you breathe on them, which makes it very hard for a dominant front seven. The NFL doesn't really like Baker Mayfield, so this front seven could eat Baker up. That's what happened week 1 in Philly. Like, they just mauled Carson Wentz. And Baker Mayfield's not a terribly mobile guy. So I feel like this Washington front seven could eat. And I don't trust Cleveland. I mean, they win a bad game, a bad Thursday nighter against a bad football team. I don't know. I think I'm leaning Washington in this one, to be honest with you, especially with that big of a spread. I just don't like Baker Mayfield and the Browns. Like, they haven't impressed me at all yet. The one thing they did do that was smart, which they didn't do in week 1 and week 2, they rode Chubb, and that was the right call. They need to operate by running the football first and then just making sure that Baker Mayfield doesn't throw the game away. But if this front seven stuffs them, they're gonna have trouble putting up points against Washington. So I don't know. I personally kind of leaning Washington in this one, maybe not to win, but to cover.
Yeah, I can't take Browns as this big of a favorite under any circumstances.
No, it's a lot of points to give the Browns, who they're like, why are we high on the Browns? They got smoked in week 1, and they barely beat a rookie quarterback on the road in week 2 on a short week, which, again, wasn't a long travel, but it was enough of a travel. It was something. It also supports my argument. So, I don't know. I lean towards Washington in this. The Washington football team -7.5. And, this under is pretty enticing as well, because Washington can't put up points, and I do think Cleveland is going to struggle. I think, if anything, that might actually be the play here.
The under. Joe Rich says the under is a look. Shout out to our man, Anthony Mastronardi, joining us out of Windsor. Says, my dad has now fallen sick too and is in the hospital. Not COVID, but a breathing issue. Sending the Mastronardi family all the love and energy we carry and everything. I hate hearing that, my friend, and thank you for popping in the chat. And we miss you, my friend. Washington, Cleveland. This is Washington or no bet, and I agree. I agree that the under is in business. My fear is that if the Bengals could so easily put up 30 points against the Browns, they may have to score to win this game.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I wouldn't take the under right now. It's just because of what we saw from Burrow and the Bengals. I mean, that was it wasn't a difficult 30 points they put up. The Browns are going to be running the clock.
No, the Browns, Birdie's right. The Browns were in the driver's seat. But they're in the driver's seat against an awful football team. I mean, Joe Burrow's not going to turn them around in 1 year. I'm sorry. They just don't have enough to compete yet. And I said before week 1, Burrow's going to have some growing pains and, not being able to put up, legit points. And I say that meaning not garbage time points against, even an injured Browns defense is still, it's not that impressive, but I feel like this could be a real low scoring affair.
Interesting. So, I mean, if I was just out there just betting for fun, Washington under would probably be the looks, but hesitant right now with how beat up this Browns defense is. I mean, we've not seen Haskins, and you're right. I mean, Haskins, a lot of those 223 yards against the Cardinals were in garbage time. Clint Richardson says Mayfield has been thrown accurately. Leonard Welch said, what's the totals? This is totals sitting at 44. Let me see what it is right across the board here. 44. So 44 across the board. So it's gone down a half point from 44.5 to 44. Wow. All right.